Today we're diving into a chilling chapter of French history. France in the late 1800s, a time of great change and turmoil. It was a scary time filled with uncertainty and fear. A serial killer was on the loose, spreading terror wherever he went. He did terrible things, and everyone was terrified. His crimes were brutal and senseless. They called him the French Ripper, a name that struck fear into the hearts of many. He picked on people who couldn't protect themselves, like travelers and the homeless, making his crimes even more heinous. This went on for 3 long years, from 1894 to 1897, a period marked by fear and uncertainty. He left a trail of victims all across France. People didn't want to travel alone, fearing they might be his next victim. Parents worried about their kids, constantly fearing for their safety. Stories about the French Ripper spread quickly, fueling the panic and hysteria. The police were under a lot of pressure to catch him, but it was no easy task. He was elusive, always staying one step ahead. He moved fast and quietly, and he didn't leave many clues behind, making the investigation incredibly difficult. Catching the French Ripper was a race against time, a desperate effort to bring an end to the terror. Joseph Vacher was born poor in 1869. He had a tough childhood. He was one of 15 kids, and his family always struggled. Even as a kid, Joseph acted strangely. He got angry easily and was mean to animals. These were early signs of the bad things to come. When he was 19, Vacher tried to attack a young woman. She fought him off. Ashamed and angry, Vacher tried to kill himself. This changed him. He started to lose his mind. He couldn't keep a job and felt lonely and unstable. The bad things he did as a kid were about to turn into something much worse. Vacher's reign of terror began in 1894. He killed a young shepherdess near Lyon. This was just the beginning. Vacher traveled across France, killing as he went. He targeted young people, mostly those who were poor and alone. Vacher was extremely violent. He stabbed, cut up, and gutted his victims. He did similar things to Jack the Ripper in London a few years earlier. Newspapers called Vacher the French Ripper. The police couldn't connect the murders. Vacher moved around a lot and didn't leave clues. He blended in with other travelers. He kept killing. A story of how one of the most notorious criminals of the 19th century was finally brought to justice. In 1897, Vacher was finally caught. After years of evading the law, his reign of terror came to an end. It was for something small, attacking a woman in a field. This seemingly minor incident would lead to his capture, but her family fought back and held him until the police came. Their bravery was instrumental in ending his spree. This small event was his downfall. The authorities finally had the break they needed. Vacher acted strangely in jail. His behavior was erratic and unpredictable, raising many questions. He admitted to the murders, saying he couldn't stop himself. His confessions were chilling and detailed. He blamed a dog bite he got as a kid. This bizarre excuse added to the mystery of his character. Vacher's confession was detailed and scary. He described his crimes with a disturbing calmness. He talked about his crimes calmly, like he enjoyed them. This unnerved the police and everyone who heard his story. The police were shocked and relieved. They finally had him. The killings were over. The nightmare had ended. But was Joseph Vacher really crazy, or was he just trying to avoid punishment? This question lingered in the minds of many. This chapter delves into the intense trial of Joseph Vacher, a man whose heinous acts left an indelible mark on France. Vacher's trial was big news. Newspapers across the country covered every detail. Everyone wanted to know about the French Ripper. Conversations in cafes and homes were dominated by the gruesome details of his crimes. Vacher's lawyers said he was insane. They argued that his mental state made him incapable of understanding his actions. They talked about his strange behavior and mental problems. Experts were brought in to testify about his psychological condition, but the prosecution said Vacher knew exactly what he was doing. They presented evidence showing his calculated actions. They showed how he planned his crimes and tried to hide them. Detailed investigations revealed his attempts to cover his tracks. The jury decided Vacher was guilty. After much deliberation, they reached a unanimous verdict. He was sentenced to death. The courtroom was filled with a mix of relief and tension as the judge announced the sentence. On December 31, 1898, Joseph Vacher was executed. The execution was a public event, drawing a large crowd. He fought back until the very end. Even in his final moments, Vacher resisted, showing no remorse. Vacher's crimes scared France forever. The fear and trauma he caused lingered long after his death. He became a symbol of how bad things can hide in ordinary people. His story serves as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface.